Alright YouTube, we're back here with another episode of Cosmic Creations. This week we're going to be turning an old propane tank and an old fire extinguisher and making a forge or a smelter. Something that's capable to melt down those thin metals like aluminum cans, copper wires, and turning it back into that raw material. So stay tuned, stick with us, and let's see what we can melt up. When the bed just isn't big enough. Uh-oh. Okay everyone, so just before we start working with this propane tank, a couple things to note, just for safety for sure. Make sure that you are working with an empty propane tank, something that's been sitting on the property for a while possibly, or just make sure that's opened and the gas is escaping if there is anything left. Now, before we start cutting into it, if you are using a grinder instead of, let's say, a Sawzall or something like that, where you're not going to have any sparks, but with a grinder you are going to have sparks, and that is something to be cautious about when working with flammable material like an old propane tank. If there is any of that old gas inside, that could be quite dangerous. There has been accidents where people have gotten quite hurt with working with old propane tanks, oil tanks, things like that, and not taking the precautions needed. So once I get this top off, I'm just going to twist it off. I'm not going to start cutting at all. I'm going to fill it up with soapy water and give it a good mix and just clean out any of that residue that might be in there. That's one way to do it. Some people have even filled it up with sand and put that in there and then started cutting, just to make sure that you're not dealing with any leftover propane residue before you're getting sparks into a closed cylinder. Alright guys, let's get going. Alright guys, so the materials we'll be using is old propane tank you likely have around the property from barbecues if you haven't traded it in before. Something to get this top off here, either a pair of vice grips, or what I'll be using is just a ball joint separator. Fire extinguisher. Make sure you get all the stuff that's in there empty. When you do pour it out, it is quite dusty and you don't want to be breathing that in, so make sure you do wear a mask and dispose of it properly. Don't just go out there and pour it on your lawn. Secret to it all, plaster of Paris. If you've ever done any hand molds or any molds as a kid, likely used this stuff before. Great for this build. It really retains the heat very well. Grinders do all the cutting, and just a bucket to do the mixing of the plaster. Alright, let's get going. Okay everyone, so easiest way to get the top off this propane tank is leverage. No special tools required. What I've done here, I've just strapped it up to a tree, just giving me some extra support. And like I said before, just make sure that it is fully empty before you are starting to work and cut and grind on it. Okay, now that I got the seal broken with using the pipe and the ratchet strap technique, I should be able to just get it with simple hand tools now.
I've seen the darkness falling in between, and I'm not claiming to be all knowing, but I know.
Okay guys, there you go. I'm going to fill it up with soapy water just to get rid of any of the propane residue. Just extra safe just before you start grinding.
Because words often take simplicity. The pollution is hard as hell. I'm not saying it's right. I feel wrong when I'm inside, walking alone lakeside. Oh, after drinking everything inside, held my mind. I have known some and I have known others.
Okay everybody, we got everything kind of set out ready. We're going to start mixing the plaster of Paris and getting the mix ready to put into our little forge. I got my bucket set out ready to go. I ended up wrapping it in parchment paper just to try to help, once it all dries, just to try to lift it right out instead of either trying to fight with it or crack it out. Going with the plaster of Paris, I'm going to be using perlite. A lot of people do use just play sand to do their forges, but it doesn't retain heat very well. It kind of just like absorbs it. Perlite is a natural volcanic mixture pretty well. It retains the heat very well and can stand up to high heats. So I'm going to be trying that with the plaster of Paris and seeing how well that works out. All right, let's go.
I'm not saying it's right. I feel wrong when I'm inside, walking alone lakeside. Oh, after drinking everything inside, hell with mine. Go to hell with my mind. Hell with my mind. In yourself. Because words often take simplicity. The pollution is hard as hell. Saying it's right. I feel wrong when I'm inside, walking alone lakeside. Oh, after drinking everything inside, held my mind. I have known some and I have known others who have taken their toll on me. There's some soul-crushing way about them. It's a change in conversation, makes it hard to breathe.
everyone. So it's 24 hours later. I got the bucket out. Came out quite easy with the paper around it. It's not as smooth as I would have liked it. Consistency throughout mixing the plaster was a little off each time, so rule for next time, just try to get each batch as consistent as possible and as quick as possible, so your drying ratio is kind of the same. I noticed some spots are still a little mushy, but we'll still go ahead and fire it up and see what happens. On the lid here, that's all solid through as well as insulation, and then I just have the hole drilled through. That might have to be a little bigger, but again, we'll see. First time doing it. So, gonna try to do a little welding, throw a hinge on here, and we'll go from there. Alright, got my blower pipe a bit shorter, hinge welded on, gonna load it up with charcoal, and let's get going. Okay everyone, I got it loaded up with charcoal here, and it's been going for probably about maybe 10 minutes now. I also have my blower unit set up as well. In a future build I can show you how to do that as well. That's all done with just a 12 volts car fan. There you go, it's been running for about 10 minutes now. It is heating up quite well. Hopefully we'll start to see the can melting soon, but let's close it back up and keep on going. While we're waiting for that to just get hot enough to hopefully melt that can before it melts the canister, but we'll see. I got some play sand packed down here in between some bricks. I've just made some little imprints with a larger size lid, little C imprint inside. I'm gonna try to make some Cosmo coins, or some cosmic creation coins. Let's see how that goes. Okay, we're at about 20 minutes now. Opened it up, and the can's gone. So, I'm gonna start feeding in some cans. See what happens.
I'm not saying it's right. I feel wrong when I'm inside. Walking along lakeside. Oh, after drinking, everything inside. To hell with my mind. I'm not saying it's right. I feel wrong when I'm inside. Walking along lakeside. Oh, after drinking, everything inside. To hell with my, oh, to hell with my mind.
Okay everyone, I'm about to turn it off. It's pretty well completely liquid. I can move it around pretty well. I'm going to try to transfer it over to the sand. Hopefully it doesn't spit up or anything like that.
Because words often take simplicity. The pollution is hard as hell. I'm not saying it's right. I feel wrong when I'm inside. Walking along lakeside.
So I did get one out of it. There was more in there, but it was just, it started hardening too quickly, and also just with the amount of ash that gets blown around in there with the charcoal. So I'm gonna have to try to figure out a way just to keep it a little tighter maybe, or even just a little scoop to get all the crud out, because it will float on top of the aluminum. The aluminum stays at the bottom. All right, gonna let this harden and see what happens. All right, everyone, there we go. The aluminum meltdown went pretty well. Got some pretty awesome little turnouts there, little cosmic coins. But yeah, pretty simple builds. Didn't take too long at all. Not too much money either. So I'm gonna keep going on it. Gonna try to melt some, maybe some copper wire, and give it a paint job. So till next time, thanks for watching. Have a great one.